Hey guys, I've been having a little play around this afternoon and I came up with this bow. I've seen someone use this style on actual flowers and I thought that would make a really nice bow. So I did this one with shimmery ribbon and I used these little Claire beads around the loops, and I thought this time for this video I'm going to make a little mermaid theme one. So I've chosen this ribbon here with the mermaid scales and I've picked out this pink to go with it, and I've got this gorgeous little mermaid embellishment. I got these from AliExpress. They come in a variety of colours. I'll link everything that I've used in the description below so you can check those out. I've got some different threads here. This is a fine Claire thread. It's actually called invisible thread, and it actually is like working with invisible thread. It is such a pain to work with. It's literally like trying to thread a needle with a strand of hair from your head. It is so difficult to work with, but it is really good, especially for this one, because these beads are clear and you don't want any thread showing through those. So that is what I used for this bow. But for this one I've got this slightly thicker one, which is a little bit more easier to work with, and this is Trimmet, and it's a Claire thread for beading and threading. This is just a little bit easier to use because it's not as fine as the invisible thread. So that's what I'm going to be using to add on my beads onto my bow. And then I've also got this Gutermann extra strong thread, and this is really good for sewing your pinches and stuff like that into your bows. You can really pull on this without the risk of it snapping. So I've got this one at hand as well. All of my beads here, I got all of the different ones from AliExpress. Again, I'll link a few different ones in the description below. So my ribbon, as you can see, is already cut, and this is a 1.5 inch wide ribbon, or 4 centimeters wide, and I've got 2 pieces cut for the base bow at 21 centimeters, or around 8 inches in length, and that's 2 pieces. And then I've got 8 pieces here the same, but I've got 4 of the scale print ribbon and 4 of the plain pink. Again, it's a 1.5 inch wide ribbon, or 4 centimeters, and I've cut all 8 pieces to 9 centimeters in length, or just over 3.5 inches in length. So we'll work on our base bow first. So I'll just set these pieces aside, and you need your 2 longer pieces first of all. And what you need to do is heat seal the ends to prevent any fraying. And then picking up one of the pieces, you want to fold it in half. Just to get a nice crease in there to mark the centre. I'm going to do the same on the other piece. And then this is completely optional. I've got some UHU all-purpose adhesive. I find that this is really good for holding the ribbon in place while you're making your folds. And then you can also sew through this, whereas if you use hot glue to hold the ribbon in place, you then can't get your needle through to sew it. So this is quite good to have at hand. It's super cheap. I got this from my local supermarket. Or you can just overlap where you've just folded it there. You've got that crease. You can just overlap the ribbon. If you're confident that that's going to stay in place, you can then sew across that centre. But I like to use a little bit of this. I just find it a little bit easier. And what I do is just pop a bit across that crease, and then stick that side down, and then stick another little bit on, and then fold it over again, overlapping that first piece. And that way that just holds it in place, ready for stitching. Makes it a lot easier in my personal opinion, but if you haven't got it at hand, like I say, you can just simply overlap, either use a clip or a pin and then sew it. But this is just quicker. So now I'm doing the same on the second piece, those exact same steps. Just bringing those pieces into the centre. and we're basically making a double tucks bow, and that is for the base bow. I'm just going to pop these next to each other to make sure they're the same length. Yep. And then taking my needle, which I've already threaded with some double strength thread, I'm going to start sewing my pinch. I like to work from right to left because I'm obviously right-handed, so it's just easier for me. And we're going to do 6 stitches in this one and then carry on and do 6 stitches in that one. So we're going to go in through this first edge along the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I like to pull this pinch in now rather than go straight into the other one. And then I'm just going to hold this pinch in place by going through that end and then through this loop before I pull it completely tight a couple of times, and that will then just form a knot and hold that pinch in place. And then I'm going to continue with my second piece, the same stitches, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this time I'm going to pull it tight to bring those 2 pieces together, form that pinch, and then I'm going to wrap it around the center and pull it tight and then seal it off on this underside. So I'm going to go in once, and then on the second one I'm going to again not pull it tight, go through this loop a couple of times, and that will form a knot to hold it all in place. Trim off the excess thread. And there you have your double tucks base bow. Now we can set this aside, we don't need that just yet. Next you need your 8 pieces, your 4 pieces of patterned and 4 plain, and you're going to pick up 2 pieces, 1 pattern, 1 plain, and we're going to place one on top of the other. Now if you've got a pattern which goes a certain way, like these scales should always come down this way. So I'm going to make sure I do these so that the scales are all facing the same way. As you can see, I've got them already laid out with all the scales facing this way. Then I'm going to take my lighter and I'm just going to heat seal the ends, and at the same time pinch them together so they bond together. You're basically melting the fibres in the ribbon, and then as they cool they form a bond almost like a glue, and then they hold together like that. We're going to do the same on all 8 pieces, so we'll end up with 4. So now we've got all 8 pieces bonded together, and I've threaded this little fine needle with my clear thread. And the reason I'm using a little needle is so I can get my pearls on there, because I've tried it before with an ordinary sewing needle and you can't quite get it through the hole in the pearls. And then obviously we cut these to 9 centimetres, and 9 divided between 4 is 2.25 centimetres. So from one end, the bottom end, with my scales facing the same way, I'm going to measure up 2.25 centimetres, and then I'm just going to pop the needle in there, the one with my thread on, and then I'm going to sew straight across 6 stitches like we did with the pinch before. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like that, and then we're going to pull that all the way through. And then we're going to form a pinch. And again, I'm going to come up and just form a knot to seal that off, to hold that pinch in place. It's hard to see on camera because obviously I'm using the clear thread for beading. So I've just got that held in place like that. And then I'm going to come back up through, so my needle is coming out from the bottom to the top. And then I'm going to get my pearls or my beads. We're going to add 5 of our pearls onto this needle. These are 4mm pearls, so 5 is enough across here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then grabbing hold of that needle, I'm going to continue pulling that through. Let those pearls just fall down naturally, and then we're going to bring these over this pinch, and I'm just going to go back in through the opposite side. So where the pearls are coming out this side, I'm going to go back in through the opposite side, all the way through like that, and then I'm going to pull it tight. And then those pearls will naturally just curl over that pinch there, like that. And then making sure they're firmly in place, I'm holding them with my finger just to make sure they don't come loose. I'm going to finish off on this side by going in and knotting off. So going in once, and then on this one I'm going to go in and then through this loop a couple of times to form a knot, and then pull it tight before I trim off the excess thread. So this is what we've got now, and now I'm going to do the same on all the other pieces. Another thing I forgot to add, I've done 2, and I just wanted to come back on here just to say, obviously this is going to be for the left hand side of the bow with the scales coming downwards, so these ones are going to be for the right side of the bow. So we're going to do the pearls from this end, so just keep checking in on your patterns if you've got a particular way your pattern needs to go, just to make sure that's all going to be in the same direction when you make your finished bow. So I'm now going to sew these 2 of the beads on as I did the first one, 2 1/4 centimeters up from this inner edge. So we've now got all 4 pieces with our pearls added, and as I said, the scales are all facing downward, and I've re-threaded my needle, this time with my double strength thread, and we are now going to start sewing these together. So you just simply fold these in half. Now as you can see, this forms a slight curve where we've popped this pinch in, so you do have to kind of manipulate this ribbon to meet up. So we're going to start in the outer corner first for 1 stitch, two, 3, 4, 5, and then the last corners. So as you can see, I'm kind of going in through this bottom corner, then coming up through this top corner, and then that will bring them together. And then you can pull that tight to form a pinch. Oops. So I'm going to pull that tight to form that pinch. And then once you've got that end nice and tight, you can then knot that end off. And that will hold that in place. And there's one done. And then taking the next one, again with the scales going down, so it's these two together and these two are going to be on the other side. I'm going to do the same, bring this end up, and then kind of manipulate the ribbon to bring those ends together as you're sewing. So go in through the first corners. I'm not going to pull it completely tight because obviously we're still joined to this one. So we'll pull it tight last. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then coming out the last corners for the 6th stitch. And then you can pull those tight and then bring those together, form the pinch in the other half, again sealing off the end. And that is one half of the bow done. Now I'm going to trim this off now because we've knotted it at the end, and we're going to do those exact same steps with the other 2 pieces as well. Now obviously I do skip little parts of my video. That is only because there will be people who are quite confident at sewing and they won't want to sit and watch me sew all 4 pieces. If you're not so confident, then please do make use of the pause and rewind features. You can go back and watch how I did these 2 again if you're making yours along with the video. So please do go back if you need to. So now we are going to attach this to the base bow. So I'm going to simply pick up one half, and I like to just kind of squidge them together at the bottom where the pinch is. And I'm going to place some glue on the left half of my bow, and then I'm going to place my top part of my bow along that left side. And then do the same with the other half. Now I'm going to turn my bow the other way just because I find it a little bit easier. Again, I'm going to place some glue along the left side again because I've turned it around, and pop that in the centre. And I like to just hold that in place for a few seconds just to make sure that glue holds. So this is what we've got now. You can see that lovely bow shape starting to take place. And now we're going to add a clip onto the bottom. So I've got a 45mm toothed clip, and I've got some matching 1cm or 10mm wide ribbon matching my pink. I'm going to cut a length of this off around 12 centimetres. And I'm just going to heat seal the ends, and I'm going to line my clip. This is optional, but you will see me do this in all my videos because I do like to line my clip. That's just my personal preference. So I just place it on the underside of the clip, push it into the pinch part, line across the top of the clip, and then finish off the last little bit. Open up the clip and tuck that in underneath. I find that helps to hide those harsh, sharp, pointy bits as well when you line the clip. And then I'm going to add this to the bottom of my bow. Now on this one, I did like a ruchy centre, and I used the silver ribbon. I brought out the silver colour in the centre, but because we're adding a mermaid embellishment on this one, I'm just again going to just use my plain 1 centimetre wide ribbon. So I'm just going to pop some glue on one end and then stick it on the underside of my bow on the clip, central to the bow. And then I'm going to start wrapping around the centre. I like to go around at least twice. And on this first go round, I'm just going to place some glue along that join, just to make sure that none of the edges of those bows come out, those loops. And then I'm going to go around for the second time. Seal the raw edge and glue that end down under the clip. So to add my little mermaid embellishment, I'm going to be using my Gorilla Super Glue Gel. This is really good for these kind of embellishments. Now, if you like to help it along, you can just give your embellishment a bit of a roughen up along the bottom, and that just helps to get the glue right in there and just add some extra hold so it's not so smooth. That says shake well. I have already given it a shake. I'm just going to place some glue on the bottom middle, a little bit on this side as well because that will go right across. And then I'm just going to make sure the scales are facing down, and then I'm going to place her in the middle. Now this glue, it says it takes 10 to 45 seconds to take, but I like to give it a little bit longer. If I'm sending a bow off, I like to give it at least a couple of hours to fully dry before I pack it away. So I will just hold that in place for a little while just to make sure that sets. And there is your finished mermaid and pearl looped hair bow. Isn't she pretty? I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Like I said, I will link all the products used in the description below so you can check those out. If you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also turn on notifications so that you're always up to date. Thank you for watching everyone. Take care now. Bye.